Scott Sherman waiting in the wings to talk about the Supreme Court and the gay marriage issue that has taken up the last 2 days of the Supreme Court's time with oral arguments. That's coming up in a minute. But Election Day is Tuesday, and a lot of small yet important races all around, including the Ellisville mayor's recall. I guess the city council is being voted on Tuesday, and then the recall is going to be voted on Monday night. You have the city mayor's race. You have a whole bunch of different mayors around town, including the Monarch Fire District, which normally does not get this much attention. However, when you bring some heavyweight names to the ballot, it gets a lot more attention. One of the two running for the Monarch Fire Board is former state Senator Jane Cunningham, who's here in studio. Jane, thanks for joining us.
Good to be here with you, McGraw.
What is the Monarch Fire Board, and what do they? It's a big fire board, right? I mean, the biggest. It's very powerful, correct?
Powerful, but very small.
Very
there are only
small,
three
okay.
people, so a very few people have a lot of power, and they set salaries for the employees and taxes.
Where is the Monarch District? What does that encompass?
Mainly all of Chesterfield and Western Creve Coeur, a little bit of Baldwin and Wildwood.
Okay. You
Clarkson Valley.
A little bit of your background. You were a state senator.
Yes.
You were gerrymandered out of your district.
Correct.
And so you didn't have a district. You decided not to run for anything until this fire district board.
Right.
Why?
Well, I've been involved with Monarch for about 10 years, and knowing the struggle that's been going on there between the government employees union and the public, and knowing the taxes that result based on who goes into that board, I've been involved for quite some time. Property taxes for many years has been important to me. I passed a law in the Senate that gives relief to people on their property taxes because it gives them a fair market evaluation for their assessments. And so when one of the board members, who was supported by the union, by the way, on this board, proposed an unneeded $1 million tax increase, I led taxpayers to refute that and get them to actually reverse it. That happened in 2011, and services have frankly only gotten better since I saved the taxpayers $1 million. So property taxes are important to me, have been in my record for many years.
This is a nonpartisan position, correct?
Yes.
Is it safe to say that you've been somewhat partisan over the last couple of years?
Well, I'm a known Republican. Both candidates are known Republicans.
And you are out of the closet even on that. So if it's a nonpartisan, can you put your partisan hat to the side and put a nonpartisan hat on there?
You know, my main feeling is if I'm interested in property taxes, I'm interested in excellent services. I'm interested in making sure that the public really gets represented. That's neither Republican or Democrat. It's public.
You were rumored to be running for the House seat that was vacated by Todd Akin. There were some rumors that you might even run for the Senate seat. There were all sorts of rumors about you doing something.
Yes.
Why this board? Why did you reject those others and pick this board to run for?
As I've said, I've been involved for 10 years, but there is a very needed and a very noble cause here. When the union spends $100,000 to make sure they put someone on that board, it blocks out normal citizens. Most people can't do that. Almost no one can. So it needs somebody that has the recognition of a former senator to try to win this back for the public.
You wouldn't be in favor of putting campaign limits on campaign contributions, would you?
No, I don't believe in that. But I think it's just very important that we put the public back in charge, because what's happening is salaries and taxes are being set by people who want to control both sides of the bargaining table, if you will. There's collective bargaining, and if people who were put in office by the union are bargaining for the public, then the public loses their clout. And what's happening is the salaries and taxes are set with Monarch, and that's a benchmark all over St. Louis. Mayors have told me, fire districts all over, look to what this is and use it to negotiate up theirs. So someone has got to step in and stop this racket.
You have made some national news, and people might remember your name as you came out and said, or you're quoted as saying, that you were in favor of doing away with some child labor laws. I remember that story. Wanted to ask you about it. Here is my opportunity. What did you mean by saying you want to do with some child labor laws?
Most parents don't even know what the labor laws are, and the intrusion of government on their right to raise their children and teach them a work ethic now. I think I was probably a little bit ahead of my time and probably should have narrowed the scope of the bill a little bit, but all bills we put in kind of get beat into submission during the process. Just this session, the Senate unanimously passed a bill for farm families, very much like the bill that I put in. So there's a lot of sentiment to make sure, and even in the federal government, that government doesn't intrude into families and being able to teach your children well.
Well, but you understand that the family farm is very different than an inner city kid.
I think that the idea that government intrusion into a family and your ability as a parent to teach your child a work ethic and give them skills that are going to be important for life, that's a family decision. And obviously it passed the state Senate unanimously not long ago, just this session. Well, so the same ideas are there.
Yeah, but holding up the Missouri State Senate as sort of a third-party independent, to stamp of approval on your bill. Here's my point. But there are single parents out there who are working two jobs. Lots of times, young children are working and having to walk in the front door with the parents with their hand out to pay for the rent and the electricity and the phone bill and the car payment. And so a lot of these kids might work double shifts, triple shifts, and not go to school and yet be abused by the system. You're not in favor of those laws going away,
No,
right?
and they wouldn't happen anyway because there are child abuse laws and hotlines right now that need to be activated.
But there are child labor laws, though, also, that then protect the children.
There are both that protect the children, but it also gets intrusive like we've seen with the farm families. And I think they need to just
but no, forgetting the farm families because it's a different economy.
I don't see it as different.
You see it the same. You don't,
I
don't
really do.
think that a 13-year-old should be protected by the government because there are sometimes that there are parents who aren't protecting the children.
Precisely, and that's why we have hotlines and child abuse laws, and I think that we should. But I think with regard to what I'm about right now, one thing that may surprise you is that I think we should have collective bargaining in public. Right now it's behind closed doors, and I think it ought to be public. We're negotiating the taxpayers' money, and I think we should do that because we need to make sure that the public is protected from being overtaxed. I want to pay well, but not overpay.
Okay. Are you a birther? Do you believe President Obama?
I wasn't involved in that at all and really don't even have any comments on it.
Well, we have a story from February 2010 from Reuters. It says, Missouri Senator Jane Cunningham, this birth certificate president seems to forgot that this country is based on patriotic principles of free market for corporations. This no birth certificate president. Do you believe he was born in Hawaii?
Good night. I haven't been involved in that at all. I mean, this is old news. People already put him into office. I don't even recognize that quote. I wasn't involved with it. It wasn't something that I was focused on in the Senate.
So you didn't make this quote?
No.
So but do you believe he was born in Hawaii?
I don't know. He's got a birth certificate. He's been elected to office. I don't even see it as an issue.
Okay. No, I understand that. So you believe he's an American citizen?
I don't have a comment either way. It's just not something I've focused on, McGraw.
Oh, no. I understand that. But do you believe the President of the United States is an American citizen? You don't have a comment on it?
I don't know.
You don't know. He's released his birth certificate.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. And so I have not studied that. It hasn't been a focus. Am I aware of it like other American citizens? Yes, I am. Has he been elected to office with people knowing that? Yes. It's old news. I don't have a comment. I'm not involved in it.
But you're not willing to say that, yes, he is an American citizen?
I don't have the documentation to prove that either way.
So you don't believe the birth certificate that he released?
No, I did not say that. I said I do not have documentation either way. I have not focused on it, have not been involved on it, and really have no comment.
Seems like a pretty simple question, though.
You know what? If you are going to answer a question yes or no, you have to have focused on it. looked at it, made a decision. It's something I have not been involved with at all. Right now, I'm focused on the Monarch Fire District. I'm trying to make sure taxpayers are represented, that they're not overtaxed, that we're paying well, that we're getting really good service, and that's my focus right now, to bring this back to the people.
Do you believe President Bush is an American citizen?
Yes.
Have you seen his birth certificate?
That one hasn't been brought into question. That one is not up for scrutiny because it hasn't been brought into question. The only one I know that has been brought into question is Obama's.
So because of that, to make an informed decision, you would need to study it, and you just choose not to study it.
It's just not something that I've been involved with and focused on. When you're in the Senate, you have so many things that you're involved with, and that was not one that I could impact at my Senate level. So
this quote from Reuters, February 1st, 2010, where you're quoted as saying, "We are just defending the right of every American citizen to pay for their doctor and their medicine bills from their own pockets," said Missouri Senator Jane Cunningham. "This no birth certificate president seems to forget that this country is based on the patriotic principles of free market for corporations." That you do not remember saying that. If you take out the part about the birther part, then it's correct. That was a bill. The Healthcare Freedom Act was my bill. It passed Missouri 71% when voters voted on it. And yes, the rest of that quote would be accurate from what I believed. But to bring in something totally non-related to the Healthcare Freedom Act is crazy. It's not even related. I wouldn't say that. So you say you've never said this before? No, I've talked about free markets. I've talked about people having the right to pay for their own medical care. And yes, I support that. I worked for it. And so this quote, this no birth certificate president, you would disavow because I didn't say it. You didn't say it. And it's not even related to the topic. No. Well, whether it's related or not, the question is, well, all right, you've answered the other question. Election day is Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday, April 2nd, this coming Tuesday. And again, the district for the Monarch District, again, so people know what to expect when they're going to the polls. It's Chesterfield, Western, Creve Coeur, Clarkson Valley, Wildwood, and Baldwin, some of those. And I think what they need to do is look at who has actually produced, who's a candidate who has shown us. We're from the Show Me State. I've already saved taxpayers $1 million in property taxes, and their services are still excellent. The term is for how long? 6 years. 6 years. So you're committing for 6 years to this? Yes, I am. 6 years. 6 years from now, you're going to come back to us and say, I want to vote. I want to either be reelected or move on to something else. You're committing to the Monarch Fire District for the next six years. Absolutely. That's Jane Cunningham, ladies and gentlemen, one of two candidates. Cole McNary she's running against, and we'll have him on before Tuesday. Jane, best of luck. Thanks for coming in. Thank you for having me. 9:23, Scott Sherman waiting in the wings. We'll talk with him next in the Big 550 KTRS.